Right, now, I told you before, politicians up late night, I think they sat actually in the House of Reps till 5 a.m. this morning, so they would have been a bit tetchy today, wouldn't they? Not much sleep. But that, of course, doesn't excuse the alleged disgusting behaviour and slurs we witnessed this morning. Joining me now is Senator Amanda Stoker, who has accused a Labor media staffer of using a vile slur against her today. Senator Stoker, I wanted you on the show at the top of the show tonight because the Labor Party are quick to talk about workplace culture, behaviour, and there's been a lot made of, side eyes from certain Australians of the year towards the Prime Minister. But slurs and language like this show, they've got a long way to go, haven't they?
Look, they do. I'm a big girl. I can handle it if someone wants to use a couple of pretty choice swear words to describe me, even if it's not especially fair. But to be doing that in a way that is in the work environment of staff of this place, when the Labor Party have just spent months going to town on the idea that they are somehow better than everybody else in the world when it comes to workplace culture, is the height of hypocrisy. And so, plain and simple, just called it out for what it was and then got on with the job.
Now, I just said to people at home, I can't even use the language. It's words that are so offensive to a woman that I don't know many women who use this word at all, but it was thrown around at Senator Stoker. Did you get an apology?
No, of course not. I got a barely plausible denial. And what's most troubling about it is that while one swear word was denied, the other swear word wasn't. There was implicit in that a suggestion that either of them were fine. And while we had inadvertently recorded through my press secretary a member of this Labor MP's staff speaking in a pretty disgusting fashion, there was no reprimand from his boss. There was no leadership from this so-called respected male colleague who might say, hey, that's not how we treat people in this place, or that's not the way that we act as professionals. Instead, it was tolerated, implicitly endorsed, and then defended publicly. And so I think that says a lot about the real Labor Party, the one that you get when you see the behaviour of the people rather than what goes out in the press releases.
Spot on, and you got them on tape, so they can't wriggle out of that one. Let's go to the more substantive issue of religious discrimination, because I know it's a big issue in the communities that you're close to in Queensland. How do you feel about this impasse in the Senate tonight?
Oh, look, from a personal perspective, I'm pretty gutted. I've been working for years, literally years, to help people in our community broadly understand the kinds of discrimination that are being inflicted by those who use the weapons in the sex discrimination and other discrimination acts against people of faith. The best example came when Archbishop Porteous found himself hauled before a tribunal in Tasmania for politely and very gently stating the Catholic position on marriage as being between a man and a woman. Those kinds of situations show that there is a problem with the ability to tolerate differences of belief in this country. Now, you and I know, Peter, that's best solved by taking away the weapons that exist in other discrimination acts. But in circumstances where that wasn't achievable, we tried to level the playing field. But with the amendments that were passed in the wee hours of this morning, we were left as a government with no option but to pull the entire package, because the changes that were made would have actually exposed religious people to more discrimination and would have made it so difficult for religious schools to operate according to their ethos, to teach the tenets of their faith, to be able to enforce standards of behaviour that reflect the tenets of that faith. And it would have made single-sex and co-ed schools absolutely tangled up in difficulties associated with being forced to affirm those who seek to identify as a gender other than which they're born. It's just not workable. It wasn't legally sound. And so ultimately, we had to make sure that we weren't making a solution that was even worse.